Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch launched in 2015, the revival of the 1950s era Omega Pi-Pan dial constellation. This is the Omega Constellation Globemaster in stainless steel and Omega Sedna red gold. So the timepiece is 39 millimeters in diameter. It's 12.8 millimeters thick. It's 46.5 millimeters from lug to lug. But if you include the end links of the bracelet, the total distance across the wrist is a more robust 51.9 millimeters. And as you can see, the timepiece has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now throw the watch on the wrist. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it's got presence to it. The Globemaster has broader shoulders and a beefier appearance when it's on a bracelet, especially when the bracelet includes a large proportion of precious metal. The watch has an incredible stance and a standout presence for something that is, at face value, only 39 millimeters in diameter. But because the bracelet does flare out a little bit, I would say that if you wear the watch on a strap, a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference could wear this watch. But if you wear it on the bracelet, you're going to want a wrist of at least 14 centimeters circumference. And though it's not ultra thin, it is thin enough to fit underneath most tight sleeves and dress shirt. Taking a quick look at the bracelet, you can see it is integrated into the case band. It's mostly subdued. We have a little polished highlight that runs along the shoulders of the links, but down the center we have satin. We have a little bit of taper to the bracelet. We have in profile satin, removable links fixed by screws, and you can see here we have more removable links fixed by screws. Many removable links means precise sizing. You will be able to get a satisfactory size. We have a double deployant clasp that's a twin trigger release. You can see it closes, and it closes sequentially, one side before the other. There's an Omega logo, and then again, if you want to pop it open, twin triggers. It cannot open itself. It's not friction fit. Taking a look at the case, while the dial might be 1950s inspired, the case is at the very least more of a 60s derivation, as it has a broad tonneau-like shape to it. The timepiece has satin finish on the case flank. The lugs come to a bit of a point, though they're somewhat stubby overall. There's a transitional bevel across their shoulders that continues through the mid-case, and you can see that there is a satin finish that's sort of a concentric pattern running around the hoods of the lugs. The timepiece includes a coined bezel that is polished in profile, but on its top it has a sort of engine-turned coining, not to be confused with the fluting on Rolex precious metal bezels. This is a much finer pattern. The crown is a push-down in matching red gold, and though the crown is a push-down, it is a 100-meter water-resistant watch. Now, Omega makes its own special gold, very similar to Rolex Everose or Hublot King Gold. It's a redder red gold, so it has more copper in it, but it also has more platinum family materials in it, so it's not going to fade over time like conventional pink or rose or red gold can. We have matching red gold star, longtime symbol of the constellation. We have an applique rose gold Omega logo and marquee indices as well as hands. The dial is a metallic sunburst in blue with the Pi-Pan faceting, emblematic of early constellations. We'll do a loom shot here because this is actually a watch that straddles the space between sports watch and dress watch, much like the Rolex Datejust family. You can see it is well loomed with blue loom. And then we have a little stepped date window down at 6 o'clock, so it's not a sheer cut. I always like seeing a step in a date window. Taking a quick look at the subsidiary setting modes, you can see I can actually change the date forward or backwards, and I can change the hour without interrupting the time telling. This is great for traveling. And then, of course, if I want to hack or stop the movement, I pull the crown out all the way. Now, the star and the image of the observatory on the case back remind us that the original 1952 constellation, and many after that, were observatory chronometers. And so this heritage of chronometry is referenced in iconography, but it's also continued in a substantive sense, as this caliber 8900 is a master chronometer or a Matas chronometer. So what Omega does is it adheres to the COSC standards, but then it goes beyond them. So the ISO 3159 that governs the COSC is respected, but this is a standard created by Omega and the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology, and it includes 6-position testing for chronometry of the fully cased-up watch, not 5-position testing of the bare movement as with the COSC. They test winding efficiency, power reserve, chronometry, shock resistance, water resistance, and anti-magnetic qualities, and that is what master chronometer means. It is an open standard. Anyone can certify a watch a master chronometer if they meet the standards, and Tudor has begun doing that just recently. So, taking a quick look at the movement, you can see it has twin mainspring barrels. Those have 2 features. One is to impart a 60-hour power reserve. The other is to give the watch a more even torque release from max wind to minimum wind, so you don't get the big balance drop-off in amplitude that you would get with a single barrel movement like a Rolex 3235. Balance amplitude is fairly steady across the full power band. Now we have a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance, and you can see those features right here. They make the watch more shock tolerant. So does the rotor bearing rather than jeweled staff. It is an anti-magnetic movement over 15,000 Gauss anti-magnetic, which means effectively amagnetic. That's largely down to the anti-magnetic escapement and silicon hairspring. The movement beats away at 25,200 vibrations per hour, which is a silicon hairspring specific beat rate throughout the Swatch Group movements and families of watches, and it features the George Daniels coaxial escapement in its latest tri-level form. Now this is a direct and indirect impulse tangential contact escapement invented in 1974, industrialized by Omega in 1999, and really perfected from 2007 on with the 8500 series movements and their derivatives like the movement in this watch right here. So this watch has an awful lot to offer. It's a dress watch, it's a sports watch, it's very durable, it's a chronometer. It pays deference and reference to the past while still being resolutely modern in spec, fit, finish, and materials. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.